Thank you for joining us on Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom, number 142. I'm your host, Sick Greg Galb, and we're going to get through this thing and talk about slot cars. We're going to do my general reminder. This is not 132 Slot Car Chat. This is not 124 Slot Car Chat. This is Slot Car Chat. So if you're, if you're racing, 1.2 second flexies on a blue king track kind of guy, come and join us. If you are running HO cars, high magnet, G-force, whatever, come and join us. If you're running T-jets, come and join us. 143rd, everyone is welcome to come and join us. Talk about what you love, show us what you do, etc. Speaking of showing us what you do, we start with show and tell. So now is the time to raise your virtual hand so that I remember to call on you. And I want to also clarify show and tell. So show and tell is not just here's my new car that I got, or just here's the car that I just painted. It can be a new layout that you came up with, changes to your layout, a new building for your layout, your man cave. If you've got some cool slot racing or racing in general decorations in your man cave that you want to show off, that's good for show and tell content. So pretty much anything slot related or slot car room, race room, man cave related, show and tell it. And then we'll do Club Corner, which again is any kind of racing more than just yourself, and even just yourself sometimes. And then, we open the floor and talk about all kinds of things. So we're going to do show and tell. First one on my screen right now is Gio. Are you ready to go? Go for it.
Nope.
You're good. We can hear you.
Yeah, I know. I'm
just
limiting the swearing for later on the day.
Yeah, wait for 30 seconds before you swear. I think we're past that by now.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so I think maybe some of you that are reading slot forums know what this is going to be about. So I'm building a series of a digital series based on the RevoSlot Group 2 cars. So I've got basically a couple of them. So this is the latest one, or one of the latest one that has been released, the BMW. So, and basically I got a bunch of them getting ready to be digitalized. So I basically prepared these for my group. So the order of the picture is a bit on the messy side because I didn't have the time to kind of set them up properly. I'm doing some basic tuning to them. So basically this is the car taken apart. The first things that I do is I throw away the pinion because it's awful. Actually, that 9-tooth pinion, teeth pinion that comes with the car, it's I think an inline pinion because I moved them across to my Scalatrix trucks that I'm doing another class with, and it works perfectly. So, but in this configuration, it's a piece of crap. So what I do is I use the sideways 11-tooth pinion that comes with the GT3 cars, and the mesh is not too bad. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's much better than what is the stock car. They've changed something, so there is a bit of an update. So now they have these kind of I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I see, or I noticed that they added these shimmings that go basically just next to the bearings. Before they just either the spur gear was attached to it or the spacer, but now they have these two little whatever they're called, I mean, spacer or shimmings that they got between the bearings and whatever is rotating next to it. So which is nice, but only the BMW has this. I mean, then the other thing that I do is isolate the top, the two parts of the chassis with a bit of electrical tape. So this I think it's a well-known modification for the RevoSlot. And basically that's it. I mean, I don't glue or through the tires. I just like they are. I put on the truck or letting them run for a while. One thing that I noticed is that the BMW is a bit more around the corner, a bit more unstable than the other two. So it has a tendency of tipping over, and maybe because it's a bit taller. And there is a bit of difference also across the three chassis. So the one that I have on the screen on my left hand side is the BMW, then the Escort, and then the Alpha. Seems that the BMW is a bit longer than the Escort, that is already a bit longer than the Alpha. And if you look at then the guide lead, so this is the Escort with the Alpha. I try to align the edge of the guide, and there is I don't know, it's almost same between the Alpha and the Escort. But if you take
the size guides, looks like the guides are different.
Yeah. No, they are not different guides. It's just because they are rotated in a different.
Yeah, angle. Okay, got it.
Yeah, they are angled. Yeah, because of the cable lock.
Okay.
So, but they are exactly the same. So it's looks like one is a Carrera guide and the other one is it's not and this is the difference between the Escort and the BMW. So you can see that so if you see the guide, basically, as I said, I try to align them. So the front axle of the Escort is a bit more forward than the BMW, but the rear wheel is, or the wheelbase is a bit longer on the BMW. And it's not perfect, but you can see that, of course, the BMW is a bit taller than the Alpha, and more or less, I think they are pretty similar with the Escort. And that's my first show and tell. And now I pass on to Mark, I think.
All right.
Or if there are any questions.
Yeah, any questions? All right. So
did you see the new one of today?
Well, I had a question. Did you do anything with the tires? Because we would just kind of mention that.
No, the tires, as I said, I just want to, because I'm doing like 6-7 cars, I just want to be as simple as possible. So I don't do anything. I just like out of the box. I put them on the truck and let them run. And by the way, I run them at, because of the pinion is an 11T pinion, I run them at 9 volts. They're pretty fast on my track. With the chip, with the oXigen. I know I've not oxygenized any yet. So basically pure analog. I mean, 9 volts, they're pretty fast, at least for my truck. I mean, yeah.
But as far as tire,
did you saw the new one of BRM today?
It's not BRM. This is RevoSlot.
Oh, it's Revos.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, let's go to Mark. You're ready, sir?
I'm ready.
Go away. I mean,
be short and sweet. Every time I'm away from the hobby or any length of time, I have to come back and play catch up, getting all the cars that I didn't buy like over the last several months. So, but I had a couple nice ones come in lately. If you can see that one, that was a Slot.it that I really like. Don't ask me how these do on the track because my track's not available right now. It'll take me some time to work that one up. And then this one came in actually today from Pendle, no less. Took me about a month to get it.
Yeah,
but,
Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota. It's a beautiful looking car. Actually, you mentioned a lot of times, Greg, how you can get stuff overseas pretty reasonably. I probably saved at least $30 or so getting that because you don't pay that. You look online and you see the price, you can take 20% off it, in dollars if you don't pay the VAT. Yep. And then, like you said, shipping is just really, really reasonable. So it's all for today. And still trying to get caught up on stuff I've missed over the last 9 months or so. So
that's all good. Great looking cars. Thanks for sharing. All right, Dewann, you're next, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, a couple of sessions back, I mentioned that I had some issues with my tire raiser, tire chewer, where I was actually getting the rears were coming more conical than really true. It was just bizarre. I think it's because of the way the plate was just kind of rotating and things like that. 2 weeks ago, we had a test date for our club, the Farrout Slot Car Club, and we bring all our cars and just kind of have them reviewed, peer reviewed by other members of the club and things like that, and we do the tuning up and things like that. So we had a whole area to set up with different type of tire chewers, and had several of the tire raiser, tire chewers, several hoodies, what they're going to call them. And so I decided to try out, it gave me a great opportunity trying out the different ones. I had 2 tire chewers already. And so I ended up taking my NSR F1 tires. I just bought a new F1 that day. And it just chewed those tires up so smooth and so quickly. It was just one tire at a time, which is that's the process with the Hudy versus the dual option on the tire raiser. So I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and have a Hudy. I'm still gonna probably keep a tire raiser because I think it works pretty good for like the front tires and some of the ones that you want to just keep the axle on and not take the wheels off and things like that. But this Hudy is just by far superior, in my opinion, on doing some of the real gory tire trolling. That's just my opinion. So that was that. They get a couple new cars in, but they were just more toys than anything else. I think you got the Mr. Bean and some other little things. I like little crazy character cars, of course. And I wanted to, I don't know if anyone saw a couple weeks ago, this guy, I don't know what his name is, but I think it's All Skill Slot Car Racing. Anyway, he put a little YouTube video together talking about the who would you put on the Mount Rushmore of slot car enthusiasts or creators, etc. And he pointed out his first 3, and he was debating on the 4th one. The first 3 were Dave Kennedy, Harry Wise, and I think he said the slot car guy. Yeah, I think you're on there, right? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That slot car guy was listed as number 3. And they were debating on number 4, and the first one that he brought up for potentially number 4 was this guy named Greg Gobb.
Who's that dude?
So congratulations for making the short list of the 4th one in the Mount Rushmore of slot cars. So that's all I have.
Yeah, he tagged everybody that basically, I mean, he made a huge list of all these slot car channels that I didn't know about half of them. So it was nice that I got tagged in that, because then I saw all these other channels that I knew nothing about to go and check out. And of course, I'm flattered that he included me in there. But,
well deserved. Yes.
I just try to be helpful. Regarding the tire chewer thing, you're pretty much right on the nose. The tire raiser style machines they work for metal wheels and Slot.its and NSRs and stuff like that, but the purpose is for pressed on wheels like Scalextric and Carrera and stuff like that. So if you primarily race with cars with metal wheels, or you usually replace your rear axles with component pieces and with metal wheels, then a Hudy is the better machine. That style machine, Hudy, Scale Auto, the counter rotating drum type of machine is arguably better for that kind of wheel and tire combination. You just can't do that. You just can't use that machine for Electric and Carrera and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm keeping the tire raiser, because I do have a need. My Nencos, for example, I want to go ahead and bring those and to the front tires and the rear. Well, yeah, just all the ones that keep the axle, like you said. That's why I think
I was hoping that you were going to say that you brought your tire raiser and somebody there was able to kind of help figure out why it was making cone-shaped tires for you. So, I mean,
I didn't bring it down.
Bring it.
Actually, you know what? I did bring it down. I just didn't take it out because they already had the other ones out.
I'm sure there'd be somebody happy to take a look at it and see if they can figure out what's the deal. You know, if one side is lower than the other, then that'll certainly result in a slight cone shape. Was it so bad that you could actually see?
I could see it on my F1. Yeah, my F1. Yeah, it was yeah.
Well, hopefully you get that figured out. And Big Den put his hand up. Go ahead, Big Den.
Good day, everyone. Just before I get into the show and tell, I'll just do a quick screen share to reprise something I did a couple of issues ago, or maybe longer than that. Something looks like it's happening. Okay, you got that up now?
Something's coming.
Yeah, okay. This is we were talking about the possibility of someone making a Datsun 510 for the slot car industry. I happen to have one of these RE with a double I kits, and I think I showed a beer painted orange shell last time I presented this car, so I'll just stop the share. That's what the kit looks like. And so now I've finished the painting and the decaling of it. And you guys are probably seeing number 18, whereas I'm seeing number 81. And this was modelled on a colour scheme for a chap called Rob Dyson, who eventually got into the Dyson Daytona prototype cars. And then he has got someone else's name on it now, but it's it was originally Rob's car, as I understand. So I did start stretching. I did make some alternate mountings on the Revo Escort chassis to take it, but I've never sort of mounted the body up to this stage. Like Geo, and I noticed Mike when he was looking at these Road America racing the other night, I did actually bite the bullet and buy a Revo BMW, which is a BMW. And in some respects, I'm sadly, I'd say this is probably the worst quality Revo car that I've ever bought. When I undid it from the box, it was missing one wheel trim, which I later found in the bottom of the box. Another wheel trim fell out of it just as I was, rotating it round like this. So anyone who's going to be buying one of these in the near future, be very careful when you open the box, because you might find that your wheel trims are never seen again, and particularly if you've got a floor like mine, it's usually got pieces of slot cars and everything on it. Just a couple of other comments on it. Now, Geo was talking about the fact that he doesn't true the tyres or anything like that. Well, I trued the tyres from the Escort white kit just in the last week or so. I noticed, one thing I did notice is they look to be two different compounds, and this was confirmed later on. When I sanded the front tyres, you could have thought I was sanding urethane tyres because there was that fine grey dust come off them. So they obviously use a different compound for the front one. So make sure you don't mix your tyres up. I could not run this car without truing the front tyres, because the one front tyre has got a bulge on it, or a bump. It's so badly out of round that it's rubbing against the front guard. It would be lucky to run around its track. And I was also a bit surprised how close the rear body mounting screws were to the track, and that's without truing any tyres. But you can tighten them up to get a bit more clearance, but of course that's going to reduce the amount of body float you're getting in the thing. Look like you're suffering a bit there, Greg. Yeah, so I'll work on it and get it going. Hopefully, in Club Corner, I'll make a comment on how the local guys are going with their Revo Class 2s or whatever the generic name for these little sedans is. But and just a quick comment to Mike. You know, he was talking about getting a baby Raptor for some of his cars. The Predator 18K long can motor too is a pretty economical option. It might be a few bucks cheaper than the sideways motor.
Which one are you talking about, Dan?
You were saying you were going to get a baby Raptor for some of your cars.
Yeah.
The Predator do an 18K long can motor. Which is 18K.
I actually have one, and that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so it's I'm seeing you're going to be probably doing 3 cars. You probably save a few bucks by going with the Predator option, providing they work okay.
Yeah, well, the only reason I would go with the Raptor is because of parity with all the other ones.
Yeah.
Because most of the other GT3 cars I've got are either sideways or converted scale electric, and the Raptor seems pretty even across the board. But I might try one of those, one of the Predators, and see how it works first, because I have one.
Okie doke then.
So thanks for that. Also, in the video that you saw, that car was straight out of the box with sandpaper on the tires. That's it. So, your mileage may vary as far as the quality goes. Yeah. It actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it looks like I got a Wednesday car then.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, folks, that'll do me for show and tell.
Sure.
All right, thanks, Dan. And so I will go ahead and do a quick one. Subscribers and readers have already seen this, but I've done the reciprocator for the RSM4 machine. The main difference between the main difference between this machine and other machines, let's see if I can, there we go, is that because of the way the RSM base is manufactured, there's nowhere for me to clamp on the side of it. So I made the clamp go around to the back side of it. So the base has to be a little longer. And then because the mechanism is, the sanding plate is so loose in the channel, there's like a full millimeter between, the channel is like a full millimeter wider than the plate is. So it jiggles around in there quite a bit. So I revised the front clamp to be a sliding clamp, and then added this second clamp that's also adjustable so that you can, hold the plate in better, which makes the machine work better. And all of those files are available on printables.com. And of course, I'm happy to make them for people who want them. But now pretty much all of the available or previously available tire razor style machines, whole axle machines, now have a reciprocator option. Print your own if you have a printer. Buy one from me if you don't. And, then you don't have to sit there going like this with the sanding plate while your machine is chewing tires. But as I say on the webpage, do not leave your tires unattended, because lots of things can go wrong when it's, spinning on a thing and, sticky tires and yeah.
Greg, what RPM do you use in the little motor?
The reciprocator motor?
Yes.
The reciprocator motor is a 15 RPM at 6 volts.
Yep, perfect.
It's nice and slow.
Yep, that's what you want.
Yeah, the reciprocator goes slowly. And so it's usually okay to hook it up directly to the same power that the truing machine motor is hooked up to. So usually just a couple of wires from the reciprocator motor to the truing machine motor is.
So I have mine, but mine is on a piece of wood, and it's like more like a longer RC arm. And
yeah,
I've
seen those.
Plate, yeah.
If it works,
An older one works. So.
Yeah. The only thing that I would recommend, you don't have to go as far as putting a switch in or putting a polarity switch in or putting, a potentiometer in to change the speed of it, really. But I do recommend the ability to disconnect the power from the reciprocator So just some kind of quick disconnect that you can put, with those wires, so that, for whatever reason you're not using the reciprocator, it's not running. Because if it goes one way, it's fine. If it goes the other way, then it'll jam, the little arm will jam up.
I use those little Carrera connectors is what I have on mine, and can plug it. Those are pretty common.
Perfect. Yeah. Anything.
I forget what those are called. They have a name to CRT connect.
Yeah, JST or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, JST. There you go.
But that's it for me as far as show and tell is concerned. Does anybody else have anything they want to show and or tell about? Wave your real hand in front of the camera, and I'll try to catch you. Henri, do you want to show something? You need to unmute yourself. Henri, you're muted.
Not anymore.
You're good to go.
Okay. We talked last time about the Audis from Slot.it, and of my experience with the shoe from the LMPs, and this is the normal one shoe, and you cannot change your shoe because there is a bridge in front of it, so you cannot drive with your own specific shoe. So we made an insert for it. Bart and I did some drawing, and then you can take the bridge off, and this is the insert. And you can clip them on, you can glue them on. It's every way you want it. There are two models, because I saw in the chassis there are slightly different. No, that one's gonna, it's not gonna help. And this is it, nothing more, nothing less, but it's a fine-tuning tool.
So have you tried to put like the guide with the cable and the body on it? How does it go? Because I mean, the reason of this guide was to try to lower the cables. So have you tried to kind of put a car together? Do you have any interference? Ah, okay.
Okay. So I drove this one for years with another solution, and this at this moment it works very well. So
I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think it's a very nice design. Whoever did it was, I mean, really cool engineering there. But
thank you.
The main problem that I see is like when you put the cables from the guide, how they are gonna be kind of be routed without interfering with the body, the front of the body.
Okay, let's me. This is how it looks with a shoe in it. Yeah, the other side, but you want to see this direction, I think.
Yes. And then, it's not just to look at the direction with the chassis. I mean, it's more like once you put the cable in and then you put the body on top of it, do you have a free movement?
Yeah.
Yes, otherwise I wouldn't drive. It has to be a free movement. Okay.
So you ever put the car together? You ever tested it?
Yeah. I drove this car for years with another solution in it. I draw something from plastic and I glued it in, so I know that will work. Yes, of course. The cables have to run free. Yeah, that's one thing. Otherwise I don't drive, because they have to. If I go off the track, they have to come in this position, of course.
Yeah.
But you can. It's online by Greg. He gave me some room on his printable page, and you can try them. They're free.
Yep, I'll try to put a link in there in the description for people. So yeah, if you don't like the LMP guide, like Henri and others don't like the LMP guide, then this quick little print, will let you put in a more standard guide, so you'll have all your favorite guide options, and then it's up to you to figure out how to make the wires not interfere with the body. But Henri's done it and it works. So
I asked around also at the club, and most of the guys don't like the guide shoe, because and we yeah, maybe some experience from other people, but they tend to break more than the normal.
Yeah. So
and then you have a problem to put them in again when you're racing. So that's why, and I like my own guides. I have special guides for our wooden track. So this is the one we prefer.
So thanks for designing that and sharing it with the world. And now it is out there.
And thank you for giving me some space.
You know,
like your print site.
You know, it certainly can, do your own printables account, but happy to do that. So it sounds like show and tell is over. Now it's time we do some club corner stuff. So if you have racing to talk about, past, present, or future, now is the time to raise your virtual hand so I remember to call on you. And then, when we're done with that, then we'll talk about other slot car related things. Gio is quick to put his hand up again. Are you ready to go, sir? Take it away.
I think so. Let's see if it works as usual. Okay, so racing last night. We had 7 people racing. Most of them are, regulars, and except for the guy with the Porsche 997 at the beginning here of the pit lane. Just, I think this was, I would say, the first real kind of race in digital with us. And he's also an Aussie guy, so I would say that this is the first international race that has ever happened on oXigen in New Zealand. If you don't think so, then put a comment down below if you have any other evidence that such a race has ever happened. Anyway, so 7 cars. The track is like 90 meters, so I wasn't really afraid it was going to be a big house with also like a newbie, but actually things went pretty well. So we have a couple of, we have a new car in the line. So this is sideways McLaren 720, which was a pretty competitive car out of the start. So we did a bit of practice as usual. So we start with 5 minutes in order to get, tires, the motor up to temperature, and also people, I would say. Alex, 18, so was back yesterday, and he was in good shape. So you can see later on that, gave me really hard time, tried to keep me honest all the time. So I, until like the last 10 laps, I didn't know whether I was going to come first, second, third, whatever. It was also like the 65 red line car was pretty competitive, the McLaren. Okay, so now this is the car ready to go out for qualify. The qualify was, no big surprise there, I think, and not many track holes, I would say, in total. So we had like plenty of opportunities of doing a nice lap. So I'm keeping usually when we run GT3s with these 70K motors, we run at 11.3 volts. But because there were like so many people, I'm trying to keep it low. So we're running at 10.5 volts. So the fastest laps are not the usual ones, because we could do like 5.6 normally or 5.7. So they're a bit slower than normal. And there is a bit of kind of, variety. I mean, okay, so between me and Alex, not a huge difference there. And then there are a bit of a kind of a mixed board.
You said the track was 90 meters and you guys are doing
19.
Oh, 19. Oh.
Yeah, 90.
Yeah, I was counting also.
I wish it was a 90 meters.
I think they're driving supercars.
Yeah, we do like the wing cars.
Yeah. Okay.
I took a picture of one type of car and then set up other kind of cars. Okay, so this is the grid.
Go on.
No, go ahead. What you were saying?
No.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the grid, starting grid for race 1. And so Alex, was just next to my tail for most of the race. And this is after, I think was, we did 110 laps. And this is the difference between first and second. So it was really, really close racing. So I think like after the first pit stop, he was ahead of me a couple laps, and then I managed to take the lead again after the second pit stop and last pit stop, and basically was like chasing me all the time. And then had a couple of crashes, but that's what, yeah, like the difference is like 1 meter maybe. And so Jan with the 65 red line, the orange, so third, was enjoying his a new McLaren, pretty competitive as I said. And I mean, the new guy, the Matt, so we did a 997, that is like 7th here. So it's a faster lap of race 1 is a 7 seconds, and 7.4 seconds. And you will see like he will improve each race. I mean, so in one night it was getting better and better. So this is the grid, starting grid for second race. Again, very close racing. This time, I think Jan, so we did the orange car, basically enjoyed even more than the previous race, and even got to like the second place from Alex. And the others, like the 4th, 5th, and 6th, they were like changing with each other, or very close competition. If you see like 3rd and 4th were on same laps, and also like the 5th and 6th were on the same number of laps. So the difference between the different drivers not huge. So then we go in semi-darkness, so only one light up. And that's why the lights are important in our cars, to keep them on. And this is the result. So this race was a bit more kind of relaxing for me, at least. I mean, Alex was close, but not that close. Still quite competitive. And again, laps, everybody close by. So if you still like the last, the match, so with M Racing, so now his fastest lap is a 7:01, so which already improved quite a lot from his previous race. And then we go in completed darkness. So this is a reverse grid. So Matt is on the lead, and I have to say that, be the first when you have like six other cars behind you that want to kind of overtake you. It's a lot of stress, but I did pretty well. I mean, there were no crashes for the first 10 laps at least. And that's how we end up. So what happened here, so now I'm 5th. What happened here is that basically like I would say 10 laps before the end of the race, my car, so there was a track call, and my car just stopped just before a lane changer, just before the flipper. So the lights were on. I noticed, so this is completely darkness, of course. So the lights were on, and I know that I was close, but I said, okay, now I should be able to make it. So when we recalled the track call, and the freaking car died on the flipper, and then behind me there was Jan that basically smacked on my car. It was a bit loud, but I said, okay, we're still ready to go. And then I just started looking at the laps, and there was a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I said, what the heck is going on? It was not counting laps. And what happens was that, I don't know if you can see,
yeah,
this is the whole sensor basically came out from his sleeve. So these are usually should be, but because of the smack from the back, the whole sensor came out. So because it was so high, it was not counting or sensing the magnet. So lost 10 laps and came 4th or 5th. So, and these are the condition of the car after a hard night of racing. So I'm missing a side mirror, which I found it actually in the darkness, and a bit of paint coming off from the front here, front lip. But overall, yeah, the car, this is sideways Conti is a really good car. I mean, super. Yeah, I enjoyed racing it. So really recommended the Ford GT3 racing. That's all.
How's the space to drive on 90 meters and 7 cars? So it's a little bit crowded, isn't it?
On 90 meters will be not that crowded, but 19 it is crowded.
19, yeah.
Yeah, it
90
is.
meters,
It is.
it's a little bit crowded or not?
I mean, mine's not 19 meters and 6 cars. Yeah, that's fun. That's the kind of racing I like.
Yeah,
But that-
seven
now
cars,
that
eh?
Now that your car has a lot of damage on it, we call that a hammer. Because it's been hammered.
Been hammered, yeah.
And the crossings, it's electrics, the lane chasers.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and they drive with standard hardware, or do you exchange that with oXigen?
No. So I'm driving them with the standard Scalatrix hardware.
Okay, so you only have to change your chip to SSD.
No. I'm running oXigen chips in the cars with oXigen. But
in the mode of SSD.
No. I'm running them in basically in standard oXigen mode. I mean, they are able to talk with the lane changers. I don't need to change anything.
You don't have to change anything for.
No. So I have basically on the Bentley. I have so the chip is one of the new B2 chips that so I have not registered the chip. Is running the stock firmware that comes out of the box and basically runs perfectly on a Scalatrix track without any changes. So I'm not changing any mode or anything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it seems to work pretty much on it. Yeah, I've never really had an issue with oXigen modes on Scalatrix track.
I have a problem with the lane changers, but that's a different story. I mean, Scalatrix, that's a different story. It's not oXigen related.
And what your story is basically why whenever we have a track call and the car is anywhere near the flipper, we go ahead and push it past the flipper.
I should have done that, but it's like you have other people. So there was also the new guy was I put it next to me. So you talk about what I have to do in the pit. So sometimes I'm racing for 2 or 3 different teams because you have to give advice to others while So, but I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, the problem with the lane changer is another. I mean, the flipper is not working or working like crazy. But that's, as I said, it's a different problem. I mean, it's not oXigen related.
Yeah. All right. Looks like
you know what's really neat about this? Not to interrupt, is how different everything is all over. When you look at the hobby, how everybody does things differently. That's what's really cool about it. You see the various different things everybody does, like how they race and stuff. I find that really fascinating how they do stuff.
Yeah, and you can learn new things to try, and you might find that there are ways that you like better after having tried them. It looks like we're ready to go to Jim. Go ahead, Jim.
Good afternoon, or whatever it is, everywhere. Let's see here. Okay. You've seen this picture before. Ted Essy has a brand new track called High Sierra Speedway, and it's very fast on the left and it's very tight on the right. So it's a really good combination of corners. It's a Bob Scott built track, 4 lanes. The footprint of the track is 8x20, and we had our first race last weekend. We've tested on this track a bit in the last couple of months, but we had our very first race last weekend. And so this is January 14th. It was really rainy, and we're finally having sunshine today for the first time in about 3 weeks. But over the weekend, we had a pretty heavy rainstorm. So the Bay Area guys bailed on us, understandably, because the roads were not very friendly. And so we had 16. And so these are pretty much all Sacramento. If we hadn't have had the rainstorm, we would have had 22 or 23 people. So it's an amazing turnout for the first race at the new track. It was originally called, Ted's got a nice big black lab, and it was really originally called Barcelona, but now he's changed it to High Sierra Speedway. So that's the official name. You can see they're printed on the track. To give you an idea, the left portion I was talking about is on the top, and the tight section is on the bottom of the screen. So you can see it going through there until you get to the banana straight, and then it gets tight, and you can see the tight we call it a semi-Italian section, or we call it the Essys also. So it's Ted's name. So that's the track. We had 3 classes, Group C, F1, which is our normal classes that we've been running at Modesto at the commercial track. And the 3rd class, which is new for us, especially with the rule set we're running, is GT3. And we've put in, like most people, you can run the Corvette or you can run the Ford GT as GT3 cars. We're running the rules with these very similar to what Electric Dreams runs. So it's a spec motor. It's the 21.4 angle winder. You have to put that in any car you have. We've opened up the gear ratio. It's kind of a pain in the butt because the sideways cars come with an 11 tooth or 1128, and the NSR comes with a 1331. So we've just decided to open the gears. We don't have to worry about different size gears for different cars and a pain for checking. We've also recently added an 032 rule on the ride height. It kind of came to a head at Modesto a couple of weeks ago, and one of the cars was, the gear was dragging on the track. And so we decided, we've been talking about it for quite a while, but we decided to implement an 032 under the car and 020 under the gear. And so that's what we're going to go with. And most of the tracks in Northern California have decided to go along with that. So you can see the grids here. Here's our very first race, very first heat.
Heat is the very first race. We got Ted, Paul, John, and George. And we're off. And they're on it.
So that was great. After the dust had settled, I had a good weekend. We had the podiums here. Like I said, we had 16 entries in each class. I think we had 15 in GT and 16 in the other 2. So it was a great weekend in general. And obviously, I had a pretty good weekend as well. These are the cars that I ran. I want to thank everybody for helping me pick out that Ford GT a couple shows ago. It was flawless. The car is just absolutely planted to the ground. And you can see here, we do allow F1 wheels and tires in GT3, and that's been kind of controversial. They don't look good, no question about that. They do work well. For their commercial track, you can run those tires on your GT car, and when they wear down, you can put it on your F1 car because it's the same tire. So it's partly cost savings. It's partly the fact that they do work. And for the commercial track, he only has to stock 1 pre-mount tire, and it will work on either car. Group C, we run stock wheels. So that's a whole different thing. So there's reasons for why we do it, not just a performance. And like I said, it has been controversial, and we'll see how it goes from there. I just happened to pick up this, the JPS car the couple days before the race, and I threw the body on my regular race car and ran great. And Ted gave out plaques. So you see the High Sierra Speedway inaugural race, everybody got that plaque. So they'll have a plaque to put on their pit box going forward, and everybody knows that they were at the inaugural race. So it was an awesome time.
The C1 under the C group is the C1 tire from Slot.it.
On what?
On the Group C car.
Yes.
It's a C1 tire.
We run open tires. So you have to run the stock wheel in this class, but you can run any tire. So I'm running NSR Ultra Grips.
Oh, okay, I understand, because I wanted to know how it did do on wood. But you do it inside.
To answer that question, when we go to Modesto, the commercial track, which has a lot of spray glue on it, the stock tires, the ones that come in the box with a car, work very well. And I won the last race with a car with stock tires on it because it cuts through the glue. It has very little grip, but the grip's on the track. So it cuts through the glue and makes the car look like it's got a faster motor in it. Everybody else is struggling with tires that have too much grip. So yeah, they do work. But on the wood track here, the High Sierra track, which is just starting to rubber in, you need as much grip as you can get. So I was running Ultra Grips. I think most people were running either Ultra Grips or Super Grips.
Thank you, Chip.
And so that was it. Like I said, we got 16 people. Some of these people came from HO. The guy in the very middle in the white t-shirt, I loaned him my backup McLaren NSR GT3 car. He finished second, and the car is now in his box after a transaction between the two of us. So, and actually, as long as I'm going to toot my own horn, in the GT3 class, all 3 cars on the podium I built. We had a good race, and like I said, I had a great race, and it was a fun weekend. Looking forward to racing on the track a lot more in the future because it's a great track.
Jim, did you say that track was in Modesto or?
No, Modesto is the commercial track.
Okay.
This track is in the Sacramento area. It's about a half an hour outside of Sacramento. So there is a commercial track in Rockland, California, about a half hour outside of Sacramento. And this is about 10 minutes from that. So it's about a half an hour from Sacramento on the way to Reno.
Well, good stuff. And thanks for sharing, Jim. And Mike has his hand up. You ready to go, Mike? You're already unmuted.
Yeah, okay. Well, I have raced 3 times in the last 4 days. We had, on Saturday, we had what the Green Hornet calls Slot.it, and that has 3 groups of cars. All of them have the same motor, but various weights and different chassis. We were on stock cars first, and then, the chassis on the retro Can-Ams, which is the second class, is a brass chassis style, and it's retro. And then the LMPs, which are the fastest group. And I won my first race ever on that group, which was the B main. I got in, but I did get into the A main. So, and I did not finish last in the A main, so I felt good about that part. And that was in the retro Can-Ams, and I finished 4th in the stock cars, and I got hammered in the, to quote George, in the LMP race and lost the gear. So I lost 2 stints on it, and I still finished not last. So felt pretty good about that. And then on Monday, Ratby didn't race on Saturday because he had 2 kidney stones removed and surgery for that. So on Monday, he was still pretty looped for the races, and we had something different. We did a half an hour race, and it caused a little bit of problem even for me, because it's like, oh, we're not running 125 laps. We got to keep going. So it changed our fuel. There were some screw ups with the fuel that at the end towards around 120 laps. And you go, oh, wait a minute, I don't need much fuel. Whoops. So we had to keep going. And then the second race, we were doing an IROC. We were doing Scalextric's Modern GT. And the first stint went pretty well. Not too much problem there. But the second section, Ratby took the car that I had, which ran flawlessly, and couldn't drive it. It was just awful. It was off all over the track. And it turned out that the wire had broken inside the casing. And of course, the chip goes nuts then. And it's on and off. And the car was absolutely undrivable because it would touch sometimes and not touch other times. And, and that makes the things go crazy and set the race management system off too. It really messes things up. So we had an abbreviated session, and Ratby was kind of tired and stuff anyway. So it was, just short then. And then last night we did stock cars at the Green Hornet, and I took second place overall out of 2 races. I finished second in both races there with a car that was the 4th fastest qualifier. So felt pretty good about that. I only had 3 offs in each race, and that was pretty good for me. We ran 3-minute heats and 5 lanes. And then in the second half, we did the other 4 lanes that were in it plus 1. And so I had a good week and a lot of fun. It's really good. And the nice thing about Green Hornet is that the guy who basically subsidizes the group, you pay a $10 fee to race, and he distributes the prize money afterwards depending upon where you are, but he puts money in the pot. So everybody just about gets either half or their full entry back at the end of it. And I made enough to cover my costs for the gear from Saturday. So I was all set. So I had a really good week and it was good fun. So that's all for me.
It's good to be in an area with lots of choices for slot car racing.
Yeah. You know, it was really funny. The racing at the Green Hornet is really competitive. I mean, we've had spreads where 5 cars are within a thousandth of a second between each other. I mean, it's like crazy. You know, we've had a bunch of ties as far as time goes and stuff like that for qualifying. And the first week I came back there, which was, you know, a couple, 3 weeks ago, I was like, I don't need this. I was getting creamed in the corners and it was just a zoo. And I was like, oh, crazy. And then this week it's like, oh, maybe this isn't so bad. So I'm not as much of a fan of analog racing as I am digital. I think the digital is more realistic and for me is a lot more fun. And it's not the same competitive wise. I mean, it's not that I'm uncompetitive. I definitely have a red mist problem, but I've sort of changed my philosophy at the Hornet, and I sort of like, you know what, playing with toy cars, just back off, you know. And my racecraft got a little better as a result of it, and I think I was concentrating more on not falling off, and it worked. So I'm probably going to adopt that philosophy as a driver from now on, despite my arthritic finger. It's not really arthritic, but it's sort of random. So
is that a flat track that you guys race on?
Pardon me?
Is that a flat track that you're racing on at the Green Hornet?
No, it's not. If you look up on Facebook, Green Hornet Raceway, it's got a big bank on it, and well, starts out with 180 into a big bank, another about 270, and then comes down to another 180 and 290s after that, and then comes back. It's hard to, you know, explain. If you look at the track, you'll be able to see what it is. But it's about 123 feet, and the LMP cars are running about less than 4 seconds on that. Some of them are down now to 3.3 seconds. So truthfully, the LMPs are too fast for my brain. They really are. It's just, my eye-hand coordination has never been all that great. But the LMP car, yeah, there's the track. Thanks, Greg. The things are just going through there so fast you can't think about it. And it's really hard to get a handle on what's going on. It really is. So yeah, Shiggy puts the results up generally. So that's kind of cool. But it was big fun. So
good stuff. Cool. All righty. And Big Den, the floor is yours.
Hello again. I'm just reeling from the prospect of tackling a 90-meter track. I would need an Uber to get from one marshalling position to another, I reckon.
Just talk to James.
Okay.
Yeah, and everybody should have to marshal their own cars on a 90-meter track, so you get a workout too.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to get you probably need to install a defibrillator or something like that, you know.
Yeah, really.
As a optional equipment. Where last Friday night was our first race meeting in the Launceston area down at Lagana Seca, as I've termed it. Our host Dave had moved the track into a bigger shed to allow space for a second track that he's acquired. Hasn't set it up yet, so that will be a long-term project, I'd imagine. So it was good to get back in. We had 6 racing, and I'll just hit the share. Yeah, he said. Oh, I can't see it. Where is it? Okay. that open. I think I just need to shut down a couple of folders so I can see. Okay, this looks like it. Yeah. Right, how's that looking?
There we go.
Yep. Okay, so we started off with LMPs, mainly RevoSlot. I think the one on the white car with the red stripes is a Slot.it, but all the others are Revos. And you notice there that the GT ones in the what we call them, the generic liveries, you know, the ones that most of the GT ones in real life were red and white of some description, some pattern. So Revo has released 6 different, what we could call generic schemes. So three of the guys have got those, and the other 2 of us ran the Ferrari 333s. And okay, so I'll move to the next picture. We can find it. Drag my little thing out of the way. Okay, so that's just another look at them. That's Big Den's car in 2nd place there. So that's as close as I got to the front all night, I think. And there's the result. Dave, the host, cleaned us up. It was pretty close behind there. 3rd and 4th players, 3rd and 4th players are a son and father combination. So they're always having a dogged battle to see who can go and brag to mum who's won on the night. 2nd race was GT2s from Revo, and I had to mainly I think. Yeah, this is my car at the back. That wasn't the car I ran. That was put there for effect because someone didn't put their car up for the picture after the race. That was me there in my custom livery number 68 Viper. I think there were, out of the field of 6, there were 4 Porsche 911s. The missing car was Dave's father's car, so that was another GT2. For some reason, when I emailed myself, that's the second look at the cars, when I emailed myself I neglected to put the results picture in. So we then moved on to Class 2 or small sedans. And there were 3 Revos here, which were the 225 Alphas and the number 2 Escort on the back row. The other 2 cars are brass chassis cars built for one of the other tracks in our northern Tasmanian area. But remarkably, all 5 cars were very close together. The odd man out was me, of course, in the Calibra. I hadn't at that stage got a Revo car to running condition. I really needed to run in some new tyres on my Calibra, so I ran it round at the back of the field and tried not to cause too much havoc. And as you can see by the results, I didn't cause any havoc at all. I was well behind the field, though. But very close up the sharp end. Dad and son shared the honours on the night, but Dave cleaned us all up with 3 wins. But pretty close from. Only 4 laps between the 5 genuine Class 2 cars, so that was that was a good result. Next up, I'm just going to go. Not sure where I've got to here. I might just have to backtrack a bit. No, so I'm not quite sure. I was looking for I just stopped this share and quickly go back. Right, so I'm just going to go back to a folder here. Well, just to pad out a bit of time while I'm finding what I'm looking for. I did race it down at Phil's track, in one of the tracks in Hobart the previous Tuesday last week, and we were originally going to have 2 races, slotted DTM and RevoSlot GT2, and I'm just going to go back to the share screen now. And here we go. There's my custom caliber on the front row. That's as close as that was the pre-race shot. That's as close as got to the front all race. Unlike Mike, I didn't have all that successful evening at all. The only reason I didn't run last is one of the top guys broke a lead wire in the last in his last heat, and I managed to scrape into second last place. So that was still fun going down there and racing with the guys. Although we didn't manage to run our second race because we had computer timings troubles. So that was the end of the evening's racing. We do have racing coming on this Saturday. We decided to try some Saturday racing to see if we can get more people interested. Running the 2 Revo GT2s, the sort of any type of GT1 LMP. It doesn't need to be just Revo, and slotted Group C. Already we've had an indication that one of the guys from Hobart will be coming up, and a member of one of the other local clubs that hasn't raced with us before. So could be, looks like it might be the a sign of better numbers in the future. And that'll do me for I might leave the chat a bit early because I've got another engagement in about 2 hours time. So I might go back and get a couple of hours sleep before I head off out on that. So I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks for coming and sharing, Big Den. And does anybody else have any Club Corner type stuff to talk about? Go ahead and wave your real hand or a virtual hand if you want. Dewann?
Yeah, I just mentioned that I introduced my best friend and a couple others to the hobby, I guess, over the holiday weekend. Best friend's a female. And so they actually came out to that test setup that we had at Electric Dreams a couple of weeks ago and got heavily acclimated. One of them, well, my best friend brought her niece, who's only 6 years old. She was, I had given them one of the, what do you call those, indestructibles. So she had one of those out on the track, and it did have a magnet in it, but she was beating the heck out of most of us as a 6-year-old, keeping it on the track and everything. So they're really getting, it sounds like we got the bug. Might have some more females kind of entering into the hobby in our area. So just want to mention that.
Very cool. Rare breed female slot racers. All right, well, it looks like the floor is open. So if anybody has anything they want to bring up, talk about, ask about, now is the time. I can dig into my very shallow trough of topic discussions, or if anybody else has anything they want to talk about, now is the time.
I have. I made this for Dennis for his. I was thinking he would be here. It's his Mercedes. I don't know what model it is, but
300C.
Okay. He wanted it so he could park his car in a special spot. So that was fun.
So that's a resin print you did for Dennis?
Yeah, just waiting to hear back from him. There's a slight tear on it. I just want to see if he's okay with that or wants it again.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Where did you find the file?
He gave it to me, and it's really insanely thin. I mean, the first time I took it apart, I pulled the supports out, and it just pulled the skin off of it, and I was like, ooh. So I don't know where he found it.
Can you try to throw it on the floor again?
No. Not this time.
All right, well, let's Here's a topic that was sent to me a while ago. Front axle rock. Is there any merit in having the wheel able to rise even slightly from its rest?
No.
Be that on the
Well, yeah. So basically, I'm against having any kind of axle movement. Either is, I mean, depending on which surface you're running. I mean, if it's wood, it has to be as fixed as possible, and of course, free falling and whatever. So you need to provide support to the car when it's cornering. Skylectrics, I set up them as on wood. For Ningo, you want to kind of have them a bit off the track, just a slight bit off the track. Because otherwise, with all the bumping, especially all the Ningo track, I have a lot of bumps, and so the car will come off. That's my and Carrera. I mean, as good as wood, basically. I mean, I will not do anything different. But I don't like any kind of up and down movement. I think on at least on this hard body 132nd.
Even if even with your the wheels high up on an Inco track, you hold them slightly off the track. Let them move off the track. You're holding them slightly off.
Yeah.
Gio, how do you adjust the ride height on the RevoSlots?
I don't, but they are independent. So, and as I said, I mean, I'm okay for them to touch. I mean, if I really want to spend time on them, what I would do is the usual stuff that I do is kind of taper them and then cover with the CA. I mean, but I don't think that they need to have that.
Okay.
I think one of the methods
for the ride height, I trimmed them.
What was that, Henry?
I threw them to the ride height. Yeah.
If you need to lift them, you could shim the mounts, I guess.
Correct. Also, yeah.
One thing, if you're going to try and trim the mounts, which I've tried, don't use plastic because it tends to be uneven and you'll get cattywampus wheels a lot of times. So you're probably better off using metal shims if you can, because that's, you know, more solid base on those. So just my 2 cents.
Go ahead, Jim.
Here's something that we've done to get rid of that. And we take a piece of, I think it's 1/8 inch tubing. And this is on an NSR car, obviously. 1/8 inch tubing, cut it about 5 millimeters long and insert it in there. It goes right in. And then you capture the tubing with the 2 set screws instead of capturing the axle. And it takes that lateral slop out of it, so the car is not steering as it goes, or the tires are not moving as they would tend to steer because the axle's not in there. And what am I trying to say? It moves around, and this takes the movement out of it. So that's something we've done to get rid of that lateral movement.
What kind of tubing is that?
I think it's just straight aluminum tubing. I'm pretty sure it's 1/8 inch. It's whatever the size is, you know. It's the same as the bushing size. So essentially you're making bushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
at Electric Dreams, that was construed to be a spacer, so it was legal.
Yeah, you can use also like the 4 millimeter spacer from NSR to do the same thing.
Yeah. And the nice thing is
but
that
it sure helps.
You can cinch those set screws down so that it's definitely not moving. And then presumably you're lubricating the tube.
You're lubricating, but you can't cinch them down very hard because it'll collapse the aluminum because it's so soft. If you did it with brass, you could probably cinch them down. So you do have to watch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say cinch down. I meant because
just so it takes the slop out.
You gotta have a hair's breadth with just set screws, but with those they can touch both sides of it and hold it. Yeah. Good stuff. The floor is open, you know. Let's talk slot cars.
All right, I have a question. I don't know. This will be for people that have experience with NASCAR cars. Which is generally regarded as the best one if you had to, you know, because there's years of different slot cars. They've made all different kinds. If you had to take and start with one, Jim Rose probably knows. He's looking at me right now. But which
I don't know, but I'm looking at the answer too.
Yeah, which one would you start with? Just if you could have access to any one and
Right.
start tuning.
So from any generation of NASCAR or specific generation?
Yeah, no, it's pretty much any scale electric or any SCX, whatever, except for the SCX Pro. But
I was just gonna say
any
SCX Pro.
right, except for that one. But like as a base unit, anybody have any strong opinions or not?
Well, I was going to say, if you've talking about Carrera ones, the Charger 500 is the best of the ones that I've used. But I haven't had any experience at all with the Scalextrics or other or Pioneer or any of those.
Because I mean, I have SCX ones, I have Scalextric ones, there's 4 different models of Scalextric ones, you know, from inline to sidewinder. So
are you allowed
just curious if anybody.
What kind of changes are you allowed to do?
Gears, bushings, motors. Yeah, but there's a spec motor. So
yeah. Okay. So I would go for an SCX just because it's got a pod, you know, and you know, tape the pod.
Yeah, that's an idea.
We ran, you know, if you if you clip the retaining in the body, it's still got those posts that hold the bushings into the pod, so the pod barely actually moves in stock configuration. You got to clip those off a little so that the pod actually moves, and then put across the bottom of the chassis and across the pod as your buffer. They run great, especially without change the motor, because those SCX motors I'm not real fond of because they're terrible when they're cold and they get faster when they warm up. But if you're changing to a spec motor, then yeah, I'd be all over that.
Jeremy, I'm thinking that the old Scalextric's Taurus would be the one, but I don't know, but I'm just guessing.
Well, that's why I emailed you the other day or messaged you. I'm looking for that Ford Taurus that was a Sidewinder. It was the rounded nose, like the Tide car, I think it was. That's always been my preferred one, but I was hoping somebody else here would know a little more than me, because I don't really care about NASCAR, but I have to care now because we're racing it. So
the new Thunderbird, the new Scalextric's Thunderbird might be good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of narrow. If you ever have one, it's narrow and the wheelbase is not very good.
What about the Aero Scalextrics, the Chevy Aero car?
I don't know which one that is. The Monte Carlo.
The one that has an Aero back end to it. It was in real life it was a notchback, and then Chevy.
Yeah, that's the new Monte Carlos are pretty good, but I was just curious.
Monte Carlo,
they're inline compared to the old Sidewinder, so I don't know. Okay, it's no big deal.
Do you have to retain the original configuration?
Yeah, pretty much. The chassis and will still be the same.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. Thanks, guys.
And if anybody finds out, you can privately message me and don't tell Jeremy.
As I say, don't tell Jim.
Tell Jeremy.
There's a bidding war now. Jim's building cars for like a pro driver that could run our club who drives and now he's going to jump ahead of everybody. I mean, it's funny until it jumps ahead of me, then it's not so funny.
Dr. Ray says that he's done the Car of Tomorrow's from Scalextric, Carrera, and SCX, and he's gotten the best performance out of his Scalextrics, which I can see with a little tweaking and tuning. That's hard to say, without knowing more about what you did, Ray. It's hard to say why. If they're all stock configuration and you're just doing blueprinting, then I can totally see that. If you're in Jeremy's case, you're doing motor and gear swapping, I bet you could get an SCX with a pod running just as well or better than any of those fixed motor mount chassis style cars. But that's just a guess. I assume you're running on a variety of plastic and wood.
Mostly wood, to plastic occasionally, but not very often. But yeah, no, I'll take a look at that's a good idea, Greg. I'm going to take a look and see if I can figure that out in the rules.
Well, good luck on that. Still got half an hour to waste, guys. Do I hit the stop button and you guys just chit chat, or anybody got anything they want to talk about?
I can show something that, I think I mentioned before that I'm building another class based on the Skyline trucks.
Yeah.
So these ones, I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
Yeah, so the main problem is that as usual, Skylectrics does start a new class and then leave everybody, you know, stranded because they don't produce a new livery. So I think I've got like, I think there should be like 5 liveries. So there is, this is the one of the first one, then there is a red one. Then they come out with the 2 Golf. So this is with the blue, mostly blue cab. And then these, just in pieces at the moment, it's the orange with the blue. And then they have also a nice Castro livery. So this is very similar to one of the fly trucks, the man. And yeah, basically I'm kind of building my own liveries. As I said, I do like set of 6 because more or less that's what we are as number of people. So they look, yeah, it's not a big deal at the moment. I need to put so basically I took like one of those 2 recent deliveries, the Golf that I show you in the car show, and then kind of painted them from scratch after removing the paint. So, and then the other thing is the preparation of the chassis. So I can have I can show you what I'm doing there. So the first thing is like dealing with the with the front tires, so front axle. So the rubber is not too bad with these releases, but you want to have like if you use the standard tires as they are, there is too much gap between the guide and the track surface. So you want to kind of lower them down. So so what I do is basically cut the tires down to 25 mil, and then I do some coning. And so these what they look like after. It takes like forever. I mean, the rubber so the rubber is it's, yeah, I mean, it's hard, but also it's, you know, pretty possible to kind of chew it. I mean, it's not really doesn't fight you too much, but you have to remove a lot of rubber. So I do these, you know, there is no way that with the reciprocated tool you could do that. So you have to stay there, because also you have to kind of, as I said, you do an angle, because I don't know if you can see, but what I do is like reduce the inner diameter a bit more than the outside diameter in order to create that slope. And usually what I would do then at the end, it's like cover with the CA, but I'm not doing this because what I'm going to do next is also put like build some kind of independent front axle type of things. That is not my idea. I will show you later. So I have to do the front and do the back. So I did it for 4 different tracks, so 6 tires each. So it's 24 tires. Man, it took like 2 freaking days to do all of them. And
Yeah.
the rear tires, I do like 20, instead of going down to 25, I go down to 26. So basically it's like removing just the thread almost, but still takes time. So you can see the amount of rubber, very fine rubber that you have to get out. So this basically after I've done them, then what I do, yeah, so you know, so I want to create a like independent front axle. So what I do is I cut the front axle in almost half, and then I put a bit of, so I have like a bit of a brass tubing, also what's called the axle holders, or you know, that you can fix inside the original axles. And so what you do is you insert the half or the stub into the chassis, then put the stopper into it, then put the brass, and then put the other half. I don't know, yeah, the other half with the other stopper on the other side, and then by just, you know, spacing, making sure that when you cut the brass, there is, you know, a bit of play, just otherwise it will kind of stop the axle to I mean, the front, basically the tube to kind of rotate freely, and then which basically makes everything else to kind of becoming very stiff. So I'm cutting them like 35 mil, but in case you just need to file them a bit in order to fix, depending also what kind of size of axle stoppers you have. And they work pretty well. I mean, this is not my idea. This I think I saw the first time on Slot Forum was Mr. Modifier. They come up with this kind of way of doing the front axle. So I'm using for the motor, I'm using the 16K. This I think originally was MRC type of motor, 16K, and the pinion here that you see is those 9 tooth from RevoSlot, and they mesh beautifully with the Scalextric gear, super quiet. Yeah, this is basically kind of bending the trucks, and
there's a lot of work in it. Nice.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, although they are like toys, I mean, very kind of simple builds, but geez, and still now to figure out how to put the chip, because there is. I mean, it's a big chassis. I don't know if you can say, but the chassis is quite big.
Yeah.
I think you can stop at the share. I mean, and I don't know if I'm gonna use the B chip or the C chip. Maybe I should go for the C chip, but you know, making them sitting properly into the chassis that is basically the this.
Oh yeah.
That is basically where the screw goes into the Scalextric DPR edge that is going to interfere. So if I'm going to use a C chip, I don't like it, but I have to basically use the kind of putting the traversal.
That's good.
Yeah. But I have to see if I'm going to put a B or C chip. Yeah, basically I kill another 50 minutes there, Greg, for you.
Success with it.
I was going to say there's probably more that you're going to have to do once you actually get them on the track and start driving them around. Like,
well, I mean, with these ones, I've done the same kind of treatment. So, and you know, like these still are with the Scalextric kind of chip. So they were running 15 volts, whatever it was, and they were going pretty well. My main concern is the consistency of the rear tire rubber compound, because this one I bought secondhand, and that was already tuned, except for the front axle. This one is the one that I tuned myself, and even if I put oil and stuff, this one is a bit it's a bit better traction than the Golf one. So I think there's something with the rubber compound that's Scalextric, especially it's not consistent at all. So that is my main concern, but I'm not gonna
replace them all. It would suck if you replace all the tires and then have to true all those tires.
But with what? That's also the other thing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, what I kind of I don't know if Paul Gage is, but as I said, I mean, I don't want to basically kind of waste too much time, and I'm trying to go as simple as possible with that. Well, anyway, they're quite nice actually. The rear part where there is the engine details and all of that. I mean, although it's everything molded, it's you could, if you want, you could do some very nice detailing there. But I'm not going to do that. I have other work to do.
A friend of mine made a few of them, and he had only one problem. He didn't measure his bridge.
Sorry, what?
So he couldn't drive under his bridge.
Oh.
Yeah, when I build the bridge truck and all this one that I have over here, so I had it was like a figure of 8, right? So the first thing that I put under the bridge when I was setting up was a fly truck, to make sure that it could clear the
sure,
bridge.
Yeah.
I have 4 of those trucks that I let the kids race, and that was the first thing I did was build my bridge as high as I could. And whenever somebody comes over, they always ask, why is that stupid bridge so high? I was like, well, you got to get all the way under there. It's like a regular 2x4. It had to go higher than that. So it's crazy.
Is that what your hand was up for, or did you have something else?
My thing was for something else. I was inspired by you guys here. Well, in this case, Dennis, where he does his own custom color for his cars. So I've decided my color is going to be a blue and white stripe just down the middle because it's easy. I can't take as much time as some of you guys do. So then I started working on the midget racer car. I got that, but it came without the nose piece, or I lost it. I can't figure out. So I have to wait for a new one of those to come. So that's it. Exciting 2 minutes.
I mean,
what was it metallic?
I was gonna say, what was the paint that you used?
Oh, so I started with Tamiya metallic blue.
Yeah.
But then that's the price has gotten so crazy. It's like $10 for a can around here. So then I went to the Home Depot and got a cobalt blue from just like a generic metallic cobalt blue. It doesn't really pull, the metallic doesn't come up very good on that, but so that's it. I mean, it's very close. It's not exactly the right, but it's very close. So, and then I can get a huge can of the metallic blue from, I don't know, Rust-Oleum or something.
For cheap.
Oh yeah, it's like $10 for the whole. It's like for 4 cans of Tamiya.
Yeah, I'm doing your reverse. This is the reverse of your.
Yeah, you are. I mean, yours will be 10 times better than mine, but hey, great minds think alike.
This one is, yeah, I mean, there's so many mistakes you cannot really see, but in the picture, I don't know why I screw up so badly with the masking, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to add pink to mine though, like Dennis does. He's more of a man than I am.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I actually had a question for you regarding your timing, your timing light bridge.
Yeah.
Did you actually have a full set of instructions or videos to lay everything out? I don't know if you ever got around to that.
Did I send you a sheet on it or not?
You sent me some parts. I don't remember if I gave me the step-by-step instructions or anything like that.
I'll send you the sheet. I know I was working on it. I'll send you the sheet I have, and then just send me an email anytime you want, and I'll help you any way I can. So okay, I'm always here for you, Dewann.
Yeah, I'm starting to fabricate some of the timing tracks, and I'm redoing some of my test tracks and things like that, and getting things prepped for more tracks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll shoot you an email.
Cool.
Well, I guess I'm going to hit the stop button. No, we can just chill.
So one of the fun things that happened in our club is we let all the members vote on the rules this year. And this year was the first time where all the guys who want to do the extreme level of tuning showed up, and none of the guys who want to stay stock showed up. So it's a real cluster mess. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So
I paid him off.
Did you? Jim Rose did. Yeah.
So
it's just kind of funny. Like the rules are now just like bonkers compared to what they have been for previous seasons.
What are you,
Jeremy? I got a quick question on the rules.
Oh, these are not my rules. Remember, I voted no on all of them. But okay.
It said you can't add any additives to the tires, but I'm assuming
that was a meme.
That means at the track you can still break in tires with oil at home.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So I used to make my own using oil of wintergreen and some STP treatment. I would make my own tire treatment and clean my tires with them.
Which is now banned.
I started winning, and then I took second place on like every class. And hey, we're gonna ban that. And then the next year I took second place again and everything. And they're like, oh, that wasn't it. Yeah, they legitimately thought I had a special secret sauce that I was cooking up there.
Oh, they have not banned you yet?
Not yet. I mean, it's gonna get close if I keep going with all the tips I learn on you guys. And I always tell people, I like, you guys should tune into the show. It's you learn a lot. But nobody, I don't know.
So
the next band will be Bait of Men.
Yeah.
What were your club's rules regarding who is eligible to vote?
There's no rule eligibility. I mean, if you've been to a race, we let you come and vote. I mean, there's nobody who just shows up once, comes, votes, and then shows up once again. But the only thing is, it had to be in person. You couldn't just phone it in or mail it in.
So of the people that were there,
mm-hmm.
they had been coming to regular races, just
yeah,
not every time.
Right, and this was just one of those weird things where like two of the main guys who drive two other guys they were sick, so they didn't come. So the guys they usually bring didn't come, and we wound up with 9 people there, and I was the only one who was voting, to keep a little moderation, because I like having 2 classes that are stock, 2 a little bit of modifications, and then 2 all right nuts. That gives everybody something.
Yeah.
But like right now we're down to 1 stock class, like Slot.it classics, and that's it. So everything else you can modify. Jim Rose cars are going to be the ones to beat, I think. I've heard stories. Somebody at another club down in Iowa showed up with one of his cars that he built for him, and like after the first day they had to ban his car. And I was like, what? I don't know. There was like weight underneath it and all this, and they're like, oh, we don't allow that. So I don't know the full story, but I heard it was a Jim Rose.
Well, those of you that don't know, one of the guys, I guess he's new to the club.
Yeah.
And I guess he has arthritis or something, so it's hard for him to build cars, but he can still race pretty well. And so he contacted me, and I didn't even know what club it was. And I found out it was Jeremy's, group. And so he wants me to build cars to beat Jeremy.
Not me. I'm only the second place driver, but he was an HO driver from years ago, and he's won a bunch of HO races locally. Like he was the guy to beat for a while. So it's going to be interesting.
Did I call you Smoky Jim Rose?
Yeah. Well, the hard part for me is there's a lot of rules that we have in Northern California that have never been written down. Like in Group C, the original rule was open wheels. So the first time I showed up, I had air wheels, and they said, you can't run those. Well, why not? It says open wheels. Well, we just don't do that. And in this kind of environment, there's a lot of unwritten rules that I have no idea what they are for the group in Iowa. So I'm not sure how far to push rules, not to piss people off or whatever. So I'm really struggling with how to build a car for this.
So from me to you, push everything, push it to the limit. Because I've told them for years, I've said, look at other clubs' rules. They have actual rules here that you need to follow. You guys are just kind of doing it by winging it. And then when people show up with the wrong thing, like, oh no, we don't like that. That's not a rule then. That's just an opinion. So I said,
and an outsider coming in doesn't know that club's kind of unwritten rule.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, push it to the limit. I love it.
We just developed a set of rules for our group in Northern California that I think are very good. I'll send them to you.
No, we've already seen it. One of the guys that I talked to suggested we follow your Trans Am rules, and I said, yeah, I'll go for that.
No, that's one of the Northern California groups, but because we're doing the Motown commercial thing, we've developed a whole new set of rules that are very, very comprehensive. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Henry showed off.
We have 7 classes. Those rules are about 25, 30 years old, and they work like hell. Everything is in it. It's a bit book, and it's for every car about 5 pages. And you have to learn them, and you cannot fool them around it, because when you're not following the rules. After the match, we check the cars, and you get 5% off by 1 mistake. You get 10% off by 2 mistakes, etc., etc. So it's quite easy. Set of rules, and then you have equal cars.
That's what happened at Electric Dreams last year for the Nationals. We showed up with these Group C cars, which when the rules were written, nobody figured we run F1 wheels and tires on them, but they worked better. And it was open wheels and tires. That loophole is going to be changed, as I understand, this coming season, because that was not the original intent of the rule. But when they wrote the rule, the F1 cars may not even have existed then. But man, these 13 millimeter NSR wheels on GT cars or whatever are phenomenal. And
but
they look like crap except on the F1 car.
We describe the width of the tires and etc., etc. The diameters. So you cannot fool the rules. You have to follow them. And of course, there is always somebody who can go around them and do a better job.
Well, another example, the rules that they wrote at Electric Dreams were open gears.
Yeah. And
so one of the teams, and I'm not dishing them because it was totally legal. They ran 80 pitch Sonic gears on their car. So we've changed that rule where the gears, even though it's an open gear, they have to be designed for 32nd scale cars.
Now, was that pitch a better mesh, or what was it?
It's a finer pitch, and the car runs quieter and not so much faster, it just runs smoother and probably easier to drive.
What was the name of that gear?
Smoother is faster.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
How many clubs do have the rule of a maximum of speed?
Maximum what?
A maximum of speed.
Yeah.
So say 20 miles per hour, 20 kilometers per hour.
None that I know of.
No, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, to have such kind of things. Also, because when you're gonna measure it, before the race, after the race, I mean, the motor can be cold. Well, or I mean, yeah.
Yes, that's totally true. But when you pick up the car after the race, and it's in the park for May of 5 minutes, it's cooled down, and you set them on the track, and this is the number we have. Yes or no?
Well, in my experience, the cars that turn the highest top speed are not necessarily the ones that have the fastest lap times.
Could be, yeah.
Oh,
true enough.
Oh, definitely. Jim, you're totally right about that. But you begin with something. All our cars have to drive in a certain class, 27 kilometers per hour. And then you can give every crown, every pinion that you want, every motor that you want. It allows you a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I would not be in favor of that rule, but if it works for your club, it's great. I'm not trying to dish it, but I wouldn't.
No, I understand. But I don't see the problem also.
Well, the other thing we're going to this year is again at Electric Dreams, because everybody pushes rules down there. We're using the Slotting Plus guides, which are about 32 millimeters long. And so for 2023, as of March 1st in Northern California, the maximum length of the keel part of the guide is 26 millimeters.
Yeah. 26.
Yeah, we have one of our plastic tracks has an R1 turn in it for every lane. So I don't see that length being a problem because it's hard to get through there with that long of a keel.
It depends.
Well, the cars I built for there will have those long guides on them, but you can always cut them down.
Jeremy, you need to build a car just for the plastic tracks.
I know. I've started. I've yeah.
So
and then I have a special car just for the oval. We have one oval track that we screw around on too.
Jim, the length
put all the weight on the left side.
The length of the Slotting Plus guide is shorter or longer than a standard Carrera guide?
It's actually a little bit longer.
Okay.
Longer.
But by how much?
A couple millimeters. It's not that much longer.
So a Carrera guide is about as long as a Slotting Plus, maybe a little bit smaller.
Roughly, yeah.
What do you do when you put?
What I found
in the old days
Carrera guides is that of course they will jam all over the place in a Scalextric track.
Nobody to play with.
But the muting.
Doesn't a Carrera guide jam predominantly because it's got a thicker keel?
Because it's thick, exactly. BRM make a drop-in replacement for the Carrera guides. They are the same length, same depth, but about half as thick, and they go through the inside of an R1 turn just fine. And so when my club races Carrera cars of any kind, we basically put in the spec that you switch to that guide because half of our tracks are still Scalextric Sport tracks, and they'll navigate those turns just fine. So it's not so much the length as the thickness, and especially with guides that get thinner in the middle, like Scale Auto I think does one, and I don't know if the Slotting Plus does one. That helps too.
Thunderslot I think does.
Yeah, Thunderslot does.
Greg, can you see this easily?
Yeah.
Is the other one a Scale Auto?
No, that's a Slotting Plus.
4 millimeters longer.
And then what's
it's
the
a Slotting Plus?
It's 10 millimeters longer.
And the Slot Invasion.
It's huge.
Yeah, the red one is a slot invasion, so it's like 30% longer.
Yeah,
But the red one,
that's a big advantage.
the red one's the slot invasion one is to put a different guide into a Carrera car for other tracks, right? It's like that's their adapter to other tracks, right?
Well, the one I showed you was the slot invasion designed for the NSR.
Oh, okay.
No, slot invasion guides are all thick keel guides intended for Carrera track usage.
Oh, okay. I had it backwards.
Yep. Okay, I used a lot of them.
Gotcha.
When
So
I
Courtney,
talked to Chris,
if it's open guides, Courtney, try that on one of your proxy cars, because they do, for whatever reason, they do work.
so when I talked to Chris about these guides a long time ago, like 6 months ago, he said in the old days the guides were just a pin, like a pin that stuck out. So he didn't think that the length mattered that much, but I don't know. You guys might have other opinions.
I respect Chris, but if he hasn't tried this one, it's not like night and day, but the car just feels better with that super long guide on it.
Jim, you say the slot invasion or the slotting plus?
The slotting plus, the really
Slotting
long
plus.
Yeah, I use that on everything. I've been using that for a few years now.
But
Everybody
leaving
uses
them
that.
leaving
I'm
them
sorry?
long or cutting them?
No, long. Leave them as long as possible, because everything we run is a wood track, so there's no reason for me to. There's
They
no
work
reason for
great
me
on
to
the
cut
wood
it.
track, like you said. That's perfect for wood tracks. Scratch build,
Yeah.
you just leave the length on it.
And you get 2 for $5.
Yep.
That's a bargain.
So yeah. So they
The islands. It's great.
Or,
Well,
as
yeah,
in
wood
my
tracks
case,
have wider.
in my case, you can't buy a slot invasion guide anywhere in the UK.
I think they
I can't even buy.
slotting
I can't even
plus.
buy them from. I can't even buy a slot. Oh, so yeah. But I've been trying to buy a slot invasion because I'm going to go to a race on a Carrera track, and I can't buy one in the UK, and I can't buy one from Germany, even though they've got their own German website. They'll only ship to Germany, so I'm struggling.
Sorry, Wayne, you wanted out.
out of the EU.
You wanted the Brexit, and now you can get there and have nothing anymore.
Oh yeah, I blame Brexit too. That's no
That
doubt.
was
the
all
reason.
Wayne's vote. It's all his. It's all him.
It's all his fault.
I keep wanting to ask, how thick is the slotting plus guide? Is it more comparable to more other guides, or is it thick like the Carrera guides?
It's thin
No,
like
it's
a regular
gonna-
scale electric.
Okay, so it might do fine in this electric sport track. I don't. Courtney, do any of the cars that you've sent ever run on?
Here you go. That's how thick it is, Greg.
1.4.
Yeah, I just did it too. I got
Yeah.
1.88, so yeah, exactly the same.
So I'm working on 2 cars right now to go to England for a proxy, and basically, yeah, I've taken the slotting plus guide, and I've cut it down narrow. I actually sharpened the front of it, taper the front, and then I put a little taper there for the scale electric tracks.
Yeah.
So they have a minimum or they have a maximum spec for the guide, and I could use the stock stuff, but you know, if I cut it down myself, I can be right at the limit, you know. Jim knows.
I still haven't gotten.
Yeah, they just work.
Are you talking about a limit for slot depth there, Courtney?
Both. They've got a length and a depth. So I cut the front as far back as I can to the
Cut the rear of the guide off.
screw. No, I cut the front of the guide off, and then I go whatever it is. I think the spec is 22 millimeters now, so I go 22 millimeters from there.
Have you
Because
tried?
of the car.
Have you tried putting that? You know, because that you've got like 35 millimeters there, cutting it so all the guide is in front of the pivot point, and then all of the guide is behind the pivot point. See if there's any difference.
I've never tried that.
I tried it. I didn't.
Well,
I'm not an expert, but I've tried it on one car that I couldn't get to handle for crap, and I thought maybe moving that keel to the front would be a little better, but it still handled like crap. But it was a scale electric Javelin, so
Yeah, we've been thinking that too. Is where if we have to cut it to 26, do we cut it so it's all the way to the front or all the way to the back, or does it make a difference because the pivot point's still in the same place?
It will make a difference, Jim.
I went to
It will change the way that your braid is presented to the track, because your braid pivot hasn't moved, but the moment in time when the guide turns will be slightly earlier if the flag is out front. That's the only change you could possibly make with the flag.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the effect is by doing that.
But the braids, I don't think.
I doubt very much.
I don't think it's going to change that much if you're just changing the keel. The braids, I mean, the entry point of the braids and the exit point will be the same.
Right.
Yeah, all the forces take place through the guide stem, so you're not going to change anything in vehicle dynamics discussions. The only thing that would possibly change is that your braids turn marginally earlier and slightly further. Because if you think about it, the keel's further around the corner than the car. So you may end up in a situation where your braids are not running perfectly parallel with your rails, but actually slightly sideways onto your rails, like a ski in snow. Because the guide will be slightly further turned.
Yep.
Everyone's frozen, sorry.
Everyone do some testing. We'll report back next show.
Actually.
We're just going.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. We're all talking about theory. We need to put it on the track and see if
everybody
we can
try it out
feel
next
the
week.
difference
Let
or
us
not.
know.
Tune to the conditions of your track.
It depends.
Well,
Your
same car.
Your mileage may vary.
And it depends on whether I take out
warranty.
It depends on whether I take out the tungsten inserts in the guide.
Ooh. Ooh.
All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop button, and then we'll just keep until next week. Everybody, wave bye. Bye. We're waving bye now.